Of nasty food being served up by notoriously nasty lunch ladies. Well, here's what happens when one computer-crazy kid creates an ingenious way to liberate his classmates from those awful lunchtime blues. Welcome to Raleigh, North Carolina's state capital. This backwater-turned boomtown is busting out all over.
Raleigh, North Carolina is a mix. There's the big city, and then 5 minutes away there's a cow farm.
There's a lot of traffic and a lot of construction going on.
Because of the growing population of Raleigh, you need to make room for more people.
And with all that progress, it's no wonder that students at Southeast Raleigh High have their eyes trained squarely on the future.
Most kids that go there are kids that want to have a career in science or technology.
To get in, you have to fill out an application when you're like in 8th grade.
People in the school are very computer savvy.
But one thing even these savvy students can't comprehend is the sad state of affairs in the school cafeteria.
The lunchroom sucks.
The salads are kind of brown.
Pizza's constantly got a puddle of grease around it. It is disgusting.
Kids dread going to the cafeteria.
Luckily, the school offers an alternative to its culinary calamity with off-campus lunch IDs. But this privilege is only bestowed upon a select few.
All seniors are allowed to go off campus, and only juniors with a 3.0 or higher are allowed to go off.
Kids love to go off campus because it's freedom, just have fun with their friends and have quality food at a decent price.
So I guess it's a privilege to go off.
Meet Mark. He fits right into the school's computer culture. This technology geek seems to prefer virtual reality to actual human contact.
I'd say I'm on the computer most of the day, maybe around like 4 o'clock till like 12 at night.
Mark he's sort of a quiet person once you first meet him.
He's really smart.
He's good with computers, but he's not like a geek who sits there and, you know.
He's almost eligible for the coveted off-campus ID. But was his GPA high enough? Mark and his best friend Adam got together to get an early read on this crucial qualifying factor.
It's one of those anticipation things. You kind of want to know beforehand what your chances are. Poor Adam, he wound up having 2.1.
Yeah.
I wasn't necessarily surprised about having a low GPA because I know that I had some bad teachers in 9th grade.
My average was really close to 3.0, it was like 2.9 something. So I was hopeful because I thought that I might slip through the cracks because I was so close. You could practically round it up.
Fast forward to the first day of junior year. Mark and the rest of his classmates were eager to see who among them would receive the golden ticket, or in this case, the orange pass.
They had green passes if you're not allowed to go off campus, and they had orange passes if you were.
They give you the orange so it's easier for the cops to see.
Bell rings and I'm kind of like, okay, it's time.
Teacher just starts passing out IDs, and everybody was just kind of like, what color is yours? What color is yours?
I'm kind of anxious. Am I going to be stuck with a school lunch, or am I going to be able to, go off?
Not surprisingly, Adam received a green ID. However, when it was Mark's turn, he was also dealt what felt like an unfair hand.
I was disappointed. I was also kind of like ticked off that they didn't just like round it up a little bit, because who cares, right?
So as they joined the other academically challenged juniors in the lunchroom, Mark and Adam brainstormed options to free them of their cafeteria confinement.
Every year there was a different way to try and sneak off campus.
They ranged from things like hiding in somebody's trunk, jumping fences, people just like walking off campus. Security guard kind of caught on. So they started like monitoring it a lot closer.
We knew we had to come up with something new. I could not stand the food anymore. It was terrible.
For some reason, this memory from 9th grade pops into my head.
Hey, I remember in 9th grade, this kid was making fake IDs.
Really? Did they work?
I don't know.
I thought to myself that that'd be a good idea to do something like that, and I might as well try it.
Inspired by desperation, Adam labored all night to create what he considered to be the perfect meal ticket.
The next day, I went to school, I saw Mark, and I showed him my fake ID.
Replication of an ID I've ever seen.
He thought it was funny that I went to all those efforts to make a bad ID, so I challenged him to make a better one. Think you could do better?
Absolutely.
Fueled by Adam's challenge, Mark worked feverishly that weekend to manufacture a flawless fake ID.
I'm trying to replace all the text and crop the images and just like make it look as real as possible. It was just very painstaking, but once I had it, I knew I had it. Couldn't tell the difference.
First thing Monday morning, Mark approached Adam with proof that he had produced the perfect pass.
He showed it to me, and I was amazed at the quality of it. Wow.
This here is a fake ID.
It looked perfect. You did this?
Yeah, this is what you were trying to make, but you couldn't.
I thought to myself, I should give this idea a shot. I should test it out, see if it actually works.
When lunchtime came, Mark watched with bated breath as Adam prepared to put his new ID to the ultimate test.
When we pulled up to the security guard, he came up to our car.
I'm like increasingly getting nervous.
It was pretty nerve-wracking to see if he was going to let us off or not.
I was saying to myself, I'm not sure that this is going to work. Miraculously, this guy just waves him through.
I was very surprised that it worked. I was stoked.
It was a huge burden off my shoulders, but I wasn't sure if I was supposed to be proud, because it is fake, it is wrong.
After enjoying his illegal lunch, Adam went back to school and gave everyone the 411 about his off-campus adventure.
I was so excited about it. I wanted to tell the world. I was even considering telling teachers about it. I was just so impressed with myself.
Adam came up to me in the hallway and showed me his ID.
Check this out, guys.
And I was like, oh man, that's cool.
Yeah.
Where'd you get it, man?
My friend named Mark. They asked me if I could, I guess, hook them up with an ID, and so I agreed.
Having offered up Mark's services, Adam now had to convince the computer meister to fabricate even more fake IDs for 3 of his friends.
I told him how I had accidentally told a few other friends and that they gave me their IDs.
I was skeptical if I should do it. I made a fake ID originally because of this challenge, but now he's asked me to make even more IDs.
Come on, man. Just do it for me, all right?
I don't know, man. What if it gets out of control? It's one of those things where you realize that you have the power to stop it at that point, or you can let this thing grow.
Coming up, success has spread throughout the halls. As demand for the fake IDs is about to go through the roof, will Mark take the risk and rise to the challenge? Only one way to find out.
At first, Mark was a little hesitant because it's some big thing.
I could get in tons of trouble for making these fake IDs. On the other hand, these people, they're suffering the same way I am with this cafeteria food.
All right, fine.
I decided to make them some fake IDs for the good of the student body.
Mark turned out the 3 IDs that night and even made one for himself, giving birth to the Southeast Raleigh Fake ID Ring of 2004.
The word started spreading real quick.
Everyone wanted one. They heard about it.
I really want one of those fake IDs so we can get off campus.
That was a perfect way to get off campus because you didn't have to sneak around. You just go through like everybody else.
Everybody's ID worked. Everybody got off campus perfectly.
By the end of the week, the fake ID tally was up to 10. But while his classmates were enjoying the fruits of his labor, Mark was reluctant to put his own luck to the test.
I was just naturally self-conscious about my own work. I wanted to reassure myself that these people were not going to get caught.
And Mark was definitely missing out on a lot of fun.
Slowly, my close friends are just kind of trickling out. I'm kind of sitting there at lunch with this crap food. And finally, I was just like, enough of this. It's time for good food.
So the very next day, with Adam's support, Mark was ready to risk it all to leave the lethal lunchroom behind.
We're in the car and we're slowly edging towards the security guard.
He was kind of scared, but tried to play it cool like he was all right.
I was getting anxious, getting nervous. It's always emotions flowing at the same time.
I was telling Mark everything's going to be all right. We're going to go off campus. Nothing's going to happen.
I had this vision in my head of me getting pulled out of the car. No! Getting tossed in the back of the car and arrest me on the spot. Help me! Next thing I know, he's right up against my window asking me for my ID. He looked at it for a few seconds. It wasn't like a lifetime, it felt like one though. It was a moment of like disbelief and relief at the same time.
Hey, where are we going, man? Bojangles. Yeah, we go to Bojangles, yeah. Mark's first day off campus was a very exciting day.
It was one of those big moments where it felt complete. You know, this is what it's always supposed to be like. This is where I belong. That was definitely one of the best school lunches I've ever had.
Once Mark got a taste of the off-campus cuisine, there was no turning back.
We were going off campus for lunch every day.
I was having fun with my friends and eating some good food.
And when you're feeling that good, what's there to do but spread the love?
More and more and more people heard about it, and they all went to Mark.
I could have made money, but I decided not to because it wasn't for financial gain at all. It was definitely just to help people out.
But pretty soon, the high demand for the phony IDs was becoming more than Mark could handle.
I'm starting to get 5, 6 IDs a day. When you have like 6 of those to do in one night,
The whole system starts backing up. It took over a week for a kid to get a fake ID from Mark back. Hey, where are the IDs, man?
Dude, hurry up. It was getting so overwhelming. It took over my school life, definitely.
His grades at times start to fall.
At that point, it was kind of clear that like the only way to alleviate all the stress is to get rid of the fake IDs. Well, I never did. I never said no.
Fast forward 5 weeks, and 50 fake IDs later to Election Day '04. Since it was an official polling place, the whole school was on heightened security, which meant that the danger level for our counterfeiting club had moved from orange to red.
I used my fake lunch ID for like 2.5 months, and I never had any problems getting past security.
Well, when we went to lunch that day, we're just calm and normal about it, you know.
So you got your ID with you? Yeah, let's go.
As we were heading where the cops check your ID,
he said, let me see your ID.
When he looked at mine, he said, take it out of the wallet, which was kind of uncommon because usually they just let us by.
Mine was real, but I knew Jamie's was fake. He was nervous, man. He was struggling.
Right then, I knew I was busted. He told me to get out of the car and go to the office. The principal rarely handled situations, so that's when I got really nervous. He asked me where I got it, but I didn't want to give up Mark's name, so I told the principal a fake story. Some guy tapped me on the shoulder and told me that he was one of the people that made the school IDs, and he told me if I gave him student information, then he could make me one. He didn't believe me, so he gave me a 2-day suspension and sent me out of there.
Jamie quickly spread the word around that the fake ID ring had been uncovered.
Everyone knew to get rid of their IDs.
People burned them, threw them in the trash cans, anything they could do to get rid of them.
They figured if they didn't have them, then they couldn't get in trouble.
Ironically, Mark, who had been the most cautious of all in the beginning, was left unaware as the lunch bell rang that he was driving into a trap.
And just waiting. I realized that the security cops checking really thoroughly. By the time I realized what he was doing, I was already too close to him. He kind of looks at it just for a second. He just instantly knows this is fake.
The security guard handed Mark back his fake ID and ordered him to park his car and wait. But Mark had other ideas.
I'm sitting in the car and I'm thinking, maybe they don't know my name, because the only thing on the ID that they could have recognized me by was my picture, because my name was fake. So the chances of them picking me exclusively out of the 2,200 of the kids seemed so remote. My decision was to just make a run for it. I was thinking, I gotta go somewhere where I blend in. I sit down, try to stay out of the way. I waited out the rest of the lunch period, really nervous. Every minute felt like an hour. I'm looking over my shoulder and this bike cop comes out of nowhere. I'm not completely sure what he's looking for, but he's looking for something. So I get up, run into the building, I'm trying to seek refuge, and go straight into one of the bathroom stalls. I tear the thing up in like 10 different pieces. I just throw it into the toilet bowl and I flush it. I was thinking, just this whole thing busted, didn't know who I am, how many people do they already have caught, if any. I'm looking at myself, I'm like, what did you get yourself into? I warned you about this.
Up next, can Mark duck security long enough to taste freedom, or will the administration chew him up and spit him out?
At that moment, I knew that this was the end.
Scandals, pranks, and controversies.
So Southeast Raleigh High's fake ID ring has just been busted, and our mastermind Mark is hiding out, hoping to stay out of hot water. Yeah, like that's gonna work. Take a look.
I'm in the bathroom trying to collect myself, keep my thoughts from like racing. And I notice one of the security guards walks in, and I'm like, I'm busted definitely. He walks around behind me, kind of nods at me, and I realize that he's coming in here to relieve himself. I didn't want to stick around to find out if he was there for me or not, so I took off.
Hey dude, did you hear? Jimmy got caught.
I was getting worried, feeling very nervous. I get a tap on my shoulder.
Mr. Mark, you got problems, buddy. Come with me.
At that moment, I knew that this was the end.
Actually, the end was just beginning. The school resource officer escorted Mark to the principal's office, where both men began their interrogation.
Mark, you know why you're here.
On the desk, they have all these IDs laid out, and they point at him and says, we know you made these.
Every one of these people, plus some others, came in. Everyone named you.
They were saying all these things like,
juvenile detention, federal offense, jail, permanent record.
So many things happening at once.
Do you have something to say? Did you do this?
Yes, I did.
I knew I was in trouble. There was no way of getting out of it anymore.
We're going to start off with a 5-day suspension, and it's up to the police officer as to what happens after that.
Mark's fate was now in the hands of the school officer, who was on a mission to bust not some, but all of the school's ID delinquents.
Look at me. This is what's going to happen.
He says we can keep this as a school matter, not getting legal stuff involved, but here's what I need from you. He says, I'm going to come up to your house today. He wants all the IDs. He wants to look through the computer, make sure everything's there, that I'm not cheating him. If I try and get rid of something,
there will be consequences.
He tells me basically that if you don't cooperate, you are screwed.
Having agreed to the officer's demands, Mark was sent home to start serving his suspension. As he waited anxiously for the unwanted house call, Mark faced a moral dilemma.
The first thing that struck me was, you're gonna basically turn your friends in. And I'm thinking, maybe I can delete some of them. I didn't know what to do. I was ultimately confused. There was no way around it. I couldn't effectively delete names without getting in trouble.
So when the officer arrived, Mark got right down to giving him the goods.
He makes me print them out one by one as we're going through the list. Makes me permanently delete all these IDs. I felt a little bit guilty about not sparing anyone, but there wasn't anything I could do about it.
Grounded from using his phone or computer, Mark had no way to warn the others of their impending doom. Meanwhile, back at school, imaginations were running wild about what had happened to the former fake ID meister.
You knew Mark because I made the fake IDs? I heard he was going to jail for that. I heard he might be going to juvie.
I was worried for him. I didn't know what to do. I was even thinking about visiting him when he goes to prison, bringing him some Bojangles or something.
So then everybody started freaking out. Anyone who had a fake ID, they started wondering if they were going to get busted.
Can we get in trouble with that? It's only him. Are we going to get in trouble?
I don't know, probably.
I'll be dead.
Despite the hysteria, the school day ended without anyone getting into trouble.
A lot of people thought they were in the clear.
I thought they would at least have a few names by now, but I guess they didn't.
Meanwhile, the administration was still hard at work uncovering the identities of the fake ID underground.
All the names I had on the fake IDs were fake. The only way that they could find out who these people were was by matching pictures that they had on school records. So naturally, it was going to take a while.
2 days after Mark was busted, a total of 70 culprits had been identified and were about to be dealt some school-style justice.
The next day is when students start getting called down to the office.
Suspension.
You could see that there are people just being pulled out of class. The class sizes are getting smaller.
Suspended, you're dismissed.
Every time people got called out of classes, my heart would drop to my stomach.
Get out of my office.
I didn't think I was going to get in trouble at all. And I was pretty shocked when I did.
2 days, you're suspended.
In the end, all 70 students were handed 2 days of suspension, a record number for Southeast High. As for the guilty parties, they were left with mixed feelings about their stay-at-home sentence.
I don't think the punishment was fair. I mean, they suspended you for a couple days. It's ridiculous.
It sucks that they got caught, but do the time if you're doing something wrong.
To me, it was actually a relief just to get it over with.
By the time Mark's 5 days of house arrest had been served, the Southeast 70 were also making their way back to class. Having had no contact with his incriminated clients, Mark had no idea what kind of reception was waiting for him inside the school's halls.
Are they going to be happy to see me, or are they going to be so disgusted to see me that they won't even talk to me?
Surprisingly, they welcomed him with open arms.
They understood that there wasn't anything I could do about it. That made me feel kind of happy.
You're the man.
I'm not proud of making those fake IDs. It was a bad thing to do, but at least people got good food for a while.
Mark's legacy is he's gotten the most people suspended at one time ever, but they were still thankful to Mark because he let them go off for a while.
I can't wait till next year when I'm a senior. I'll be able to hold up that pass, hold it right to their face, and let them know I have a real ID.
I'm looking forward to my senior year when I can actually legally go off and eat that delicious chicken.
The prank